February 17th, 2024, Birmingham City plays against Sunderland at St Andrews. Michael Beale, then Sunderland manager, subbed off right back Try Hume, and the following happened. Everybody hates Michael Beale. Typically with most managers, you always get some managers that a fan base doesn't like, or some fan bases don't like, or just don't like their personality in general. However, there's always at least one fan base that likes them, if they're somewhat of a tribal figure. No one can really say that about Michael Beale, and which is one of the worst downfalls we've seen in recent memory, considering he had fans make banners saying loyalty gets remembered less than 2 years ago. In late 2022, when he joined Rangers from QPR, he had The Athletic writing articles titled "Michael Beale is a master coach and wily tactician, it's time to see if he can run the show," in contrast to a Athletic article today saying how Michael Beale's Sunderland reign unravelled in 63 days. First things first, tell me your thoughts about Michael Beale. I just kind of felt like this downfall of a manager is one that I've not really seen this badly, and it's really sad personally to see basically almost everyone completely just go at one person. Do I think he's a bad human being? No, but I do think he is kind of an idiot in how he represents himself and how he interacts with a fan base that he's meant to get the backing behind. Of course, as a manager, your main priority is to make sure that the board likes you so that you keep your job, and then there's the players to make sure they do what you want to do. But the fans is quite important too. No matter how good you are, you still need the fans to like you, and the ability that he's shown doesn't really match sometimes the, dare I say, arrogance that he seems to display. Let's get into it. If you do enjoy, smash the like button and also subscribe if you're new. And Mazzola Designs, 50% off. Use code Beale for the best football prints, all made by me. Thank you. Let's go. So before we go into kind of what's happened in the past, let's see what's happened now. So Sunderland, of course, huge club with a very passionate fan base, and they are currently, as we're speaking, on the rise, rising up through the leagues, being in the playoffs last year after being in League One the year before, and they are a team on the up, and you can only imagine it's only a matter of time that they will eventually be back in the Premier League. Before Michael Beale, there was a man called Tony Mowbray, who was quite a engaging figure and was quite popular within the fan base for having a bit of character, a bit of personality, while Michael Beale, maybe him as a person, it comes across quite distant and not particularly too engaged with the fan base and feels like he's one of them. And there was an element of disappointment when he arrived due to links prior to managers like Will Still. Bringing in Beale instead of Will Still felt like a step backwards and not moving forwards. When he joined Sunderland, he didn't bring any staff team with him, so again, it was kind of him alone with a completely new staff team to help him out. Now, people are saying that Beale was treated quite poorly by Sunderland fans and not really given a chance. Just before Christmas, Sunderland played against Coventry City at home and he lost 3-0. With his first game, there were already hashtags on Twitter saying #Beale out, which some would say for his first game is relatively harsh. Instantly, this led to some disliking between Beale and the fan base, and it was less than a month later that after losing 1-0 to Hull at home, they were boos on the pitch. As only just over a month into his job, he described the fans and dismissed them in general, saying perplexing and bemusing outside noise. Now, our fans are questioning you to describe their questions as perplexing and bemusing outside noise to Sunderland fans is incredibly brave. He then went further on after that, with Sunderland fans describing it as false accusations, outright hypocrisy, blinding arrogance, and a misreading of the situation so outrageous that at best it's self-delusion, and at worst it's a deliberate attempt to damage his relationship with the supporters. If anyone looks at my CV, I've worked for massive football clubs, so I get the expectations, that's no problem. People didn't want me here in the first place. We can say afterwards that it's about the style of this or style of that. Let's be honest and cut to the chase. People didn't want me, so I'll come and do the work, and ultimately we'll win games or we won't. That's the reality. There wasn't a feel-good factor about me coming in, which is fine. You get on with the work and I'm not crying over it. I'm a big boy and I'm experienced. And then finished that off with something remarkable, which is the following. I can't change my accent or where I'm from. I'm proud of where I'm from. People aren't really having a go at you because you're from London, mate. Now you may ask about results. How did he actually do? Well, it wasn't disastrous. It wasn't diabolical. When he joined, they were already just outside the playoffs, and where they currently are now are, again, not too far away, but they're definitely going backwards. 14 points from the last 12 league games is, again, not awful, but the style of play wasn't particularly that enthusiastic. It was very narrow and didn't really suit the players that they really had. So that's how Sunderland fell apart. Well, let's remember also one thing as well. He was loved by a fan base quite a lot, actually. He was seen as potentially a bit of a hero, or could have been. Let's go to QPR. I remember quite well, actually, because Burnley was in the Championship for the 22-23 year, and of course, we had a great year. But around October, November time, there were some teams that was also near the top, and one of those teams were QPR. Now, you may be surprised, because you may look at the table now and think, well, that's not right. However, they actually were doing pretty good under Michael Beale. I remember a particular game, Birmingham City, again, which I don't think Michael Beale likes Birmingham City at all because, yeah, he's got a bad record there, it seems. I actually remember watching this game thinking, let's keep an eye on QPR because they may actually be a pretty good team. It all fell apart after this game, if you're not aware, but there was a banner. A banner in the away end, loyalty will always be remembered. This was a banner that the fans made for Michael Beale because they believed that he was loyal, because he was loyal for about a month. He had a pretty good start at QPR and gained interest from Premier League clubs. This club was, of course, Wolverhampton Wanderers. They made a formal approach and he said no, which took a bit of respect from the rest of the division and by obviously QPR fans that was near the top of the table. He was flattered and turned them down. What a good bloke. He even said in an interview saying, look, integrity is a real big thing for me, and loyalty. You don't give it to receive it back. But if those are things you live by, then at times when you're put in position, you have to be strong by them. What a great thing to say. Loyalty. Sticks behind the club that he is currently at. Amazing, right? Well, he was there for a month and he didn't get sacked. 35 days is how long it took for Rangers. Glasgow Rangers came knocking on his door, in which that integrity and loyalty completely got lost. So he had a club, he had a fan base that was behind him, and he did have some pretty poor form after that Birmingham game, but it wasn't disastrous. I don't think he was really under real pressure being sacked, right? And they could have bounced back and had a decent year. QPR, by the way, almost got relegated as well, actually, after he left. So the squad that they had probably should be nowhere near top of the table anyway, like they were back in October. But look, he went to Rangers. How did that go? Rangers are also a massive club with a fan base even more passionate than Sunderland. Not even officially through the door yet, and he's already disliked. Not only because fans of many clubs don't really respect a person that says they are loyal and got integrity and then go back in those words 35 days later. Not even through the door yet, and Rangers was playing Aberdeen, and their current manager, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who by the way got them in a European final only a couple months before, was under pressure. He turns up to Ibrox as a spectator and already starts giving little digs to GVB, who was already contacting the Rangers players, despite the fact that the previous manager, Van Bronckhorst, wasn't even sacked yet. I spoke to a Rangers fan about his opinion about Beale and his time in a club, and he said the following, saying that he's a very arrogant man, and the way he got the job still annoys me. Giovanni was beloved as a player and got Rangers to a European final, but he wasn't good enough domestically, but tried his best. Having Beale sat in a director's box with his cronies trying to plant seeds to get him within the club still doesn't sit well with him. Tactically, he was awful and lived off the fact that he was seen as the brains behind Gerrard. He could be a good coach, but is never a manager, with uninspiring football and completely baffling substitutions. He also seriously harmed the club in the summer with utter disastrous signings. Other than Jack Butland, that was a complete obvious signing, so fair play for getting that right. He was given tens of millions to play with and got it wrong consistently. For Sampa's rationale behind signing a player called Lammers seemed to be, I coached him when he was 14 and he was class, so let's blow half the transfer budget on him. Danilo as a striker cost £6 million, which is a lot for a club like Rangers, and all round seemed like quite an arrogant man, and the way that he left QPR, again, still disappoints me. Fundamentally, the way that he left QPR will always make me not respect a man that can't back his own words. In terms of performances at Rangers, again, it wasn't great. I think they lost to Celtic 4 times in a row or something, and in Europe they were also very poor. The fall from grace from Michael Beale was one which I've not seen for a while. For a manager that had a lot of backing behind him, was trusted by a club that they even made banners on about his loyalty, and then completely tore it apart within 35 days, and now hated by not just 1, 2, 3, but probably every fan base of their rivals too. Will Michael Beale get another job again? Potentially, but I think it'll take some time, and maybe could be overseas to really build up his reputation again. Tell me down below your thoughts about Beale, but for my opinion, I think he has to really learn how to get a fan base behind him. Maybe his personality could be quite conservative, maybe he's not really too outgoing out there, and maybe that would rub people the wrong way, which is something that he quite evidently probably has to work on. Give me your thoughts, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.